for any of our friends listening at home. Welcome to This Epic Life. It's funny because I'm really considering completely sucking the whole brand straight into Good Life Project after last weekend, to tell you the truth. I'm so excited about what we created together with Jonathan and Stephanie and all of you that This Epic Life so beautifully aligns with all of it, that I love it so much that I just want to kind of integrate it. And if you spent time in my time bending workshop, you know that I'm big into lens statements, and part of my lens statement is integration guides my destined outcomes. And the more I try to integrate myself, like when in doubt, I integrate. And a real no-brainer for me right now is to integrate my personal brand and business brand into Good Life Project on some level. So we're kind of figuring that out. Here we go. All right, this is, where did I come up with this stuff? I don't know. Put the Om in home. I was walking back from my daughter's kindergarten the other day, walking her to school, walking the dog, and I was thinking of ways that I could kind of ground myself after flying high and inflating with helium and floating over that portion of New York for a few days. And I realized that I had to, again, double down on my spiritual practice and my grounding practices and kind of bring all that magic home with me, because home is where we really celebrate all of our wins and all of our development that we take on in the outside world. And if you can't be happy at home, you probably really need to change something in terms of your environment. Us to live with like a lot of really cool little tiny people, as well as my wife of 15 years. And I was trying to bring that magic home with me rather than totally overwhelming her with it. So, of course, how does this manifest? Well, it usually manifests as lyrics. So, you know, I don't know. I came up with this about 45 minutes ago. I just need to put the Om in home. I just can't ignore these omens, no. Every day I want to wake up beaming, can't tell if I'm dreaming anymore. It feels like everything I've been waiting for. It doesn't make sense to me until I take the idea and turn it into something that feels integrated with other parts of me. And as I started thinking about what that phrase means to me, put the Om in home, and some of these big questions that people raised on the Facebook wall today, you know, specifically our good friend Christine. Let's check this one out. It's been a week since I showed up at camp. She's meditated 6 times. Let's face it, Monday was a wash. I've written for an hour, practiced yoga, and exercised every day. A+, A+, A+. She watched my meditation videos, got Insight Timer app, joined the pause group, signed up for Cynthia's free thing, bought a juicer. Oh my God, she's going crazy. A meditation pillow, made an appointment with a nutritionist. Biggest challenge still, managing anxiety. I was all good until picking up the kids, making dinner, tending to my partner. I had the opportunity to use the tools that Amelia gave us. So here's her worry. She's worried that all of this energy can't last, that I will forget everything and let the negative influence overwhelm my life. The Camp GLP will become a distant memory. First of all, thank you so much for your bravery in sharing this. I've invited our good friend Cynthia Morris to weigh in on this with me, but before I get her up, I want to give you a little bit of perspective on where I'm coming from and kind of returning to normal life after camp. Our big reflection for today is how can we prolong the magic without becoming overwhelmed or demotivated? Who had any motivational issues this week? Is it Thursday already? I feel like it's maybe second period on Monday, but it's actually Thursday. So I'm trying to quantify what the hell I got done. Anybody else have any issues? Don't be afraid now. Why don't I have my beautiful friend Cynthia Morris join me here? Hey Cynthia, can I have you share your camera as well as your beautiful self?
Hello.
Hi Cynthia Morris, how are you doing today?
I'm great, Quissy. How are you?
You know, it comes and goes. Predominantly great, I would say.
It's really weird seeing that picture of me up there and my face and your face. It's like too much me all the time here.
It's a lot. You know, I took this picture of you, Cynthia, when you were looking not uncharacteristically hot and fashionable. And I was like, pose, and you're like this? And I was like, psh. And I sent it to my wife. I'm like, look at how dope Cynthia Morris looks right now.
I'm so glad to be here because I really love helping people focus, follow through, and finish on all their great ideas. And transitions are one of the biggest problems or challenges that creative people or anybody face. And often it's coming back from something, from a trip, from a weekend like this. And it's not easy. And also, just in the bigger picture of, Christine's question, how do I stay on? People want to commit to a habit and they want to stay on track. And the truth is most of us get on and then fall off. And
Yep.
you get on and fall off. So that's generally the norm. If that's the norm, let's just adapt to that rather than beating ourselves up when we fall off. So really the game isn't stay on and hold on with as tight of a grip
Right.
as possible. It's more like what are the simple practices that get you back on without any mental thrash.
Sure.
So I hope to offer some of those today.
I cannot wait. And one of the things that I took away from Christine's note, and tell me if you're seeing the same thing, is that a lot of us get really obsessed with knowledge acquisition, meaning that we want the next book, we want the next meditation pillow, we feel like we want to empower ourselves to do all those great habits. When in reality, where we need to spend most of our time is on the knowledge application piece, which is the harder piece. It requires discipline, it requires showing up. And then if we miss one day of meditation, we miss, any of those things, juicing for a couple days or something, we want to beat the hell up, beat ourselves to hell, thinking about it. And I just want to give a lot of compassion to anybody who's feeling that way, that it's not any type of pass fail or, we have to, put these habits into place right away. Yes, we want to create rigor and discipline in our habits, but not at the expense of living an overstructured, rigid life where we don't forgive ourselves. Do you see that a lot working with creative people?
Well, abuse is not the way, self-abuse and abuse from others is generally not the way to get those habits going in any way that feels right. My good friend Robin Hallett made a beautiful post yesterday about kind of not going dark side. And the fact is, I'm sure most of us went dark side this weekend. I know I was hiding in my room at some point, having to make the decision, do I stay in here and go fetal ball, or do I go back out there and be with the people?
And go fetal ball if you want.
And go fetal ball on the Color Wars field.
Yeah.
So again, we're going to go there. We're going to get tripped up by our stuff. Being in a large group of people is going to trigger all kinds of stuff. And if that's not you, then more power to you. The trick is not to stay there. And what I've observed by the people who are positive and happy and feel good about their lives like you, Kristoffer, is you go there, you'll be there, you acknowledge it, but you don't stay there. Right. And so one of the ways to deal with overwhelm and thrash when you come home is to just don't get in that rut of the mud. Don't go off into the weeds and stay there. Put your energy toward just get yourself back on focusing on what's right about you, what you care about, who you are, and what you're up to. So that will save you a ton of that mental and emotional churn, is to just get help to go out of it or snap out of it as quickly as possible.
I wouldn't be a human being if I didn't say that I have definite waves of storms that pass through where I'm an absolute grumpy prick. Ask my wife. She has a front row seat for all of this magic. Ask Shelley Adele during the first few minutes of the talent show when I realized oh, I guess I am running sound. Awesome. I didn't plan ahead to run sound. I wanted to MC. I wanted to be up there with Amelia too. I want my moment to shine. But then I turned to her and I was like, Shelley, I'm going dark side. And she did the most, Shelley Dell, you did the most amazing freaking thing. You're like, Kristoffer, everything is perfectly fine. Look at all these people. They're having a blast. You're part of it. And then she just went right back to the show, and I was like, it was like some Jedi mind track. I'm like, yeah, you're absolutely right. So I'm sorry, I didn't get much sleep. I don't know about you, Shelley, but I didn't get much sleep this weekend, so I got a little grumpy there for a second. I apologize.
But I think the kind of friends we need to just snap us back. Don't go, let's go cry in the corner about it.
Yeah.
You don't disown the grumpiness. Look, it's there, and let's move on.
Right. Well, it's acknowledging it and seeing how fast you could pivot up the emotional scale to get back to where you feel comfortable. A lot of us, Cynthia, you've been right alongside me for the last few years doing a lot of this deep emotional work. And when you have a mediocre day, when you're used to feeling pretty damn spectacular a lot of the time, the mediocre day feels like you're totally sideways and shit's falling apart. Like it's all kind of relative. And you have to work very diligently and maintain your consciousness so you can even know when you're sliding downhill and kind of reorient yourself. Otherwise, it's really easy to kind of slip into that funk.
Yeah, and there's so many ways to manage and respond to and be with our emotions. I just wanted to bring it up right away because often it's not part of the conversation and it's all just like, let's go do this and here are your time management apps. And,
Right.
the emotional life of the entrepreneur and the artist is a vital piece to making it all work. So
Mhm.
don't disown your heart.
Yeah, that's great. It's a good point. It's probably a good point to bring up too. Is that I love evangelizing meditation, and I'm going to do it in this presentation, like every one of my presentations. However, it's important to point out that a lot of times things get worse before it gets better. When you start unlocking deeper channels of perception and sitting with yourself in silence, it's kind of like getting sober after years of drinking. Like shit bubbles up. Some of it good, some of it not so good, and it has to go somewhere. So again, it takes a lot of perspective and compassion to kind of work through that. It's really hard to go back to meditating by yourself after you're meditating with, 100 other gorgeous, inspired people at 6 in the morning. So Cynthia, you talked about transition points. How does that tie to, just to kind of bring people up to speed who may have not heard you speak about this before, but how does that tie to, creative practice and cultivating creativity? Where do you get all of your kind of experience around those transition points?
Yeah, transitions, it's something I've coached people on for years. It's one of the most popular articles I've ever written, how to transition from one thing to another.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big issue for creative people in a lot of ways. One is we're afraid if we go into the zone, we won't be able to come back out. And then also, how do we get into the zone? And so I always talk about rituals, creating little rituals to go in and out, managing the mental churn, the resistance, the inner critic that tries to stop us, managing our time so that maybe one of the cool things about Insight Timer is you can set a timer in intervals. So there's
Mm-hmm.
4 or 5 minutes are up. It
Right.
hits for me. That's a great thing to do for you when you go into your creative time, because what really hurts creative people when they're writing or they're in the zone and then they're like so happy and they're blissed out and then they look up and they're like, shit, it's 3 o'clock, I've got to go get the kids. And then they walk out the door and they're like
Right.
immediately like from bliss to stress and not any time in between. And that is actually really painful and has a detrimental effect on your desire to go back into the creative zone, your ability to be present in any of those roles you play.
Yeah.
So being mindful of the roles you play, being mindful of your graceful entry in and out of different roles that you play. Often I'll suggest stopping before you enter one role. So if you're coming home from work, instead of going straight from work to home, pull over, spend 15 minutes in your journal or meditating or whatever practices you have to kind of ground into your essence of who you are outside your roles.
Yeah.
So same with transitioning back from a big event like camp. I don't know about any of you, but I came home with about 5 major new projects that I wanted to do, all these great ideas, all these things to do. And I also had been on a 5-week sabbatical traveling around Europe, so I had a ton of stuff to unpack and unload. One of the main problems that creative people have is a sense of urgency. When we get these ideas, we get
I
so
love
excited,
this.
we're going to do
Yeah.
it right now, and everything's going to happen right
I've
now.
never had that problem. I've never been impulsive.
It's good. It feels good, but then we just fry out like
Yeah.
a shrimp on the Barbie. And so we don't want that. Do you want me to show my tools that I
Yeah,
recommend
show a couple of
for?
the tools. Who wants to see tools? I do. I do.
So I'm a big fan of the mind map, and I had this idea about mind mapping your plate. You know how people say, oh, I have so much on my plate, I have so much on my plate. All of the things that we've got going on in our heads and our lives are often floating around up here. Maybe we have a project management software or something like that. But I found that until we kind of see it in a visible, contained space, it's really hard to get a grip on what we've got going on. So what I like to do is take a mind map, and mind map is where you take the main core idea and put it in the middle. So what I do is I mind map the month.
Oh,
So
I
this
love
is
it.
October, and these are the major things that I already have going on. I'm relaunching my website. I've got a couple of presentations. I've got a class I'm running. I can't see what that says. Oh,
Creative
yeah.
Morning Prezi.
Yes, these are two major presentations I've got to get ready for, presentations, relaunch, and the class. So when I think about what I want to add, like I want to write 2 more books, I want to start going podcasting, I want to do all this stuff, first I just get a grip on what am I doing next month. And then you can see I've already jumped ahead, like what did I do, what about September? So I went back and did one for September. This is what where I'm at here. I've got a bunch of admin stuff to do, getting back from my trip, doing a trip recap. So starting, you can do that on a monthly basis, you can do that on a weekly basis, you can do it on a daily basis. But once I put that down for October, I felt, oh, okay, this is what I've already got going on. This is what I'm already committed to. And you can see, do it on a small page like this because there's not a lot of room for more.
Right.
So then, because I love all of the ideas and all the excitement and potentiality, creative people love living in the realm of potential and possibility. That's why these kind of weekends are so thrilling for us. I wrote down all the possible projects that I want to do. I want to make a bunch of videos for Original Impulse. I want to get my CynthiaMorrisArtsite.com. I want to illustrate a new book. I want to write a novel in November. I want to write a Claim Your Authority book. I'm doing podcasting. So you can see those are all major, major projects that both serve my creative life and my business life. So how do I decide what to do in that regard?
It sounds like there's something helpful about just getting them out there, not committing to them yet, but just getting them out there so know that they're inventoried, know that they're documented, they're not going in, nobody's going to steal them from you. However, not diving straight into them so you're going to get lost in it.
Yeah, and so thinking about things as potential or possible, and you don't have to do anything, you can just savor the idea of it. And often you might need a few days, like I've got home on Monday, so I've had a few days to just savor the possibility of these. And as I noticed myself thinking about all of them, because my place is a wreck with all the stuff that I brought home, it's a little bit chaotic here, I still don't have any real filter to figure out which of these projects to commit to. So in my mind, I don't have to decide on any of this until October. I would want the same thing for all of you, unless there's some major triggers that you need to pull right away. You don't have to make any big decisions now. Just let it all, put it on the back burner, let it simmer. If you do want to go with a little bit more project planning in terms of getting some more information and data about how to decide which projects to follow through on, what I would do next is each project gets its own page, its own mind map. You put the project in the middle and then just start mind mapping all the elements of it. We're looking to get all of the pieces out on the table. What will this take in terms of time, money, support? Who will I need to hire? What will I need to do? And then it's pretty super clear right away whether you have what it takes in terms of bandwidth and resources to do that now or in this next quarter, or whether that's something that you plan for in 2015. If you can't, or beyond, if you can't see planning for it, if it's so like, oh, I've got to do it now, I've got to do it now, pay attention to that, because that could be like a sugar candy bomb where you're all like, this tastes so good, it's so good, I'm sucking on my sucker, and then 20 minutes later you're crashing with overwhelm. So
that's great. A lot of, just really quick, a lot of positive feedback on that. Lisa Concilio Ryan, Celia Slater were really grateful that you shared that process. Personally, I'm grateful you shared the process because I'm not a list maker. I don't like linear things whatsoever. That's overwhelming. So to think of a visual, what fun way to do it, it makes me want to paint like a whole wall in here, just like dry erase and just start mind mapping. It'd be fun.
It is fun, and it's easy to do. You can do that quickly. I mean, you can mind map your plate for the month. You can mind map the project. You can do all of those things within a 5, 10, 15-minute period of time, and that makes it super easy to just kind of get it out and see what's possible.
Yeah, that's great. You know, it's funny too because I think where I was experiencing a lot of shock this week, like maybe some people were, was that because of my role at camp, I didn't have to really worry about transition. Like my only transition, and you saw my room at the end of the weekend, was like running in my room, wardrobe change, and it's like, and then back out. Like there was no time to think. It was like total kind of flow type of thing. And what's exhilarating about that? Well, like you don't have to belabor decisions. You don't have to inventory like, is it time? It's like, it's always time. So you just keep going, going, going. And then when I'm back home, back with very standard issue problems like how do we feed all these children? How do we get them all to 3 different schools? How do we, who's going to feed this dog today? It becomes a real like strong question about allocating your energy and your time. Not that I'm going to mind map whether I'm going to feed my kids or not, but just when it comes to my work, I just kind of keep all of that kind of sequestered in one place up in my office. And when I come back up here every day, I look around and I'm like, okay, what needs done first? But getting those kind of buckets organized into projects, separate mind maps, that's really huge because they typically tend to operate in just one big knot from like the Christmas Story movie. It's like, or the Christmas Vacation movie. It's like one big boolah. So
Well,
thanks for that tip.
another thing, when you come home, as you mentioned, you didn't get a lot of sleep. When we go on trips like this, just because we can get on a plane and be on the other side of the world within a matter of hours is normal, doesn't mean it's actually normal to our bodies. And being
Yeah.
very cold at camp, not eating the food you're used to, really whacks us out. So I find that one way to get grounded and get really focused and get really attuned to who you are is let the body lead. When you're tired and you just can't think anymore, and even though it's 2 o'clock and you should be working until 5, just stop. I always find that the body leads me to the right place all the time.
I
The
love
trick
that.
is listening and paying attention. And so aside from all the advice that we're giving or tools or strategies or anything, your body is your greatest source of wisdom. It's always right there with you, and it's always right on. And if you could learn to listen and follow its guidance, that's the only guru you need, really.
That's great. I definitely noticed that some major fatigue sets in around 8 o'clock p.m. each night, and I usually just kind of find my way up to bed and peace out at some point. Definitely annoying for my wife who wants to talk to me at that point once the kids are finally in bed, but she understands that I'm kind of recuperating. So that's one way that we create space around ourselves is to honor the body, listen to what it's telling us. I'm still up at 5:30 in the morning to get my big meditation in because that's really the only time I can do it, and that's invigorating and all those things, but usually by the end of the day, at least this week, I'm really dragging ass where I'm not used to it, and I have to honor that, and I have to work around it. If I keep plowing through, I'm just going to keep cranking out substandard work because my brain or my soul is not fully in it.
You bring up a really good point, is communicating with the people at home, and they
Yeah.
want and need something and you want and need something. So just that example with Gail, I'm looking at what are ways that you can both get your needs met. She wants to connect. You need to relax. You need to just rest your body. There's ways that you can do that together. Even sitting with your backs to each other, or sitting just looking in each other's eyes, or cuddling, or anything in that vein. That's just simple ways to bring yourselves back together. Like, we are here together. We don't have to talk and download everything verbally. We can just reconnect physically.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think I came back so wired, I wanted to tell her every single thing, like do the minute-by-minute play-by-play. And I don't know if you've had this problem. Have you tried to explain to another human being who wasn't at camp, Cynthia, what camp was all about? And they're just kind of like, they get it,
Yeah,
but they don't really get it.
yeah, you don't really want to go fire hose on anybody, because
Really?
no one wants to be
Oh.
the end of the fire hose except the burning building. So I actually wrote, one of my ebooks is about this very subject. It's called The Graceful Return, How to Relish Any Journey, and it's available on Amazon as a Kindle download. But I wrote this when I came back from my year as a nomad in Europe, because I found it was so surreal to have come home from this incredibly profound experience and to be back, and nobody really asked about it. And it was like, how was your trip? And it was like, and then it would be over. I couldn't even get it in
Yeah,
there,
right.
how it was. And that leaves you just kind of hanging with all these extremely deep and real and meaningful life-changing experiences that you've just had, and no way to process them for yourself and no way to share them. So I wrote this ebook as a way to help people do that, using a lot of the creativity tools and art-making tools that I share in Capture the Wow. So if that's something that would be useful, it's on Amazon. I think it's like $3 or something.
Yeah, what's it called again?
The Graceful Return.
The Graceful Return by Cynthia Morris?
That's right.
That's kick-ass. Where the hell were you on Monday with this ebook, Cynthia? Like, I'm sitting there, like, totally circling the drain, and I can't, get my footing, and I didn't know you even had an ebook on the topic.
Where was I on Monday? I was on a plane, and guess what I was reading? The plane was 4 hours long, which I was not happy about. But luckily, I had the Happiness of Pursuit. I read Chris Gilboa's entire book. Like, that was a power bomb with GLP camp, and then that book. And I came home, and I'm just like, whoa.
Yeah.
And then I went to the store immediately to get my green materials for my green smoothies. So that's where I was, honey.
Okay, good. I just needed a little bit more support from you, just friend to friend, you know. Let me know if you have an ebook on something I need in the future, okay? Ann Samalev, I want to share your comment here. This whole discussion is important, and I'm actually finding that before camp, we were disconnected. When I came back wanting to just hold my family close to me, so she found re-entry so much more beautiful than it is in the past. The meditation has helped that. Ann Samalev, meditating with her child, with her daughter. Oh, great. I love hearing that, and I'm jealous. I'm jealous. I want to do that more often. And I've seen that somewhere else. Somebody else I saw in the group was meditating with her child, and it's just so beautiful to me. I've had all these spiritual experiences over the summer. Cynthia, I've told you about some of these, about going to Convocation for Self-Realization Fellowship, working with monks, meditating with 4,000 other devotees. And I can describe it to people, and I could, assign stats to it so they get like a picture of what it feels like for me. But it's really, I become increasingly at a loss to share these experiences with people. And part of it is sad, but part of it is a beautiful thing just to, smile a little bit wider and internalize it and say, that was special. I don't need to go back there. Again, another beautiful thing about meditation is that at some point you get to this place where you could take everything that happened on a given day, if you meditate in the evening or the day before, if you're meditating in the morning, and say good, bad, fugly, all of it, Control, Alt, Delete. I'm who I am now. I'm now. So the memories are beautiful, and I have a hard time peeling my face off of the camp Facebook wall because I just want to relive every nugget of morsel of awesomeness and just rub my face on the screen. I love it.
Well, Anne was talking about feeling connected before and then during and after, and I feel like so much more connected to everybody. Seeing who you are in person was a great way to now make more relationships with you online and be able to see the work you do, like Heather, who took those amazing photos, and going to her website and going, oh, okay, this is what
Heather Krikora, that was the most bomb-ass slideshow visual storytelling I have ever seen. I watched it 4 times in a row. Mel leaked it to me because I bugged her into doing so first. Amazing, amazing stuff. Don't you just want to show that to everybody you know, though, Cynthia?
I loved it because it helped me feel omniscient. It helped me see all the things that I missed. Speaking of missing and FOMO, I went to a conference last year, and I was starting to feel FOMO, and was I going to have...
Do people know what FOMO is, and do they understand what debilitating FOMO you and I suffer from? It's called fear of missing out. It's a real condition. Our friend Karen Wright has a debilitating case of it as well. FOMO's legit.
I'm no longer debilitated by it, because when I went to this conference, I plugged into it, and then because I'm learning to recover more quickly, I just said, why don't we just set an intention? Why don't we make a prayer? And my prayer was, I'm always in the right place at the right time with the right people all the time. And once I did that, it happened. Someone's like, hey, do you want to come for dinner? Yes. Hey, come sit by me. Yes. Hey, Cynthia. And it was like I didn't have to control or be in charge or make anything happen.
Right.
So
or lament that you missed out on something. Like there are people that were there. Rick Clemens, George, please tell Rick that I miss seeing his beautiful pedicure up close because we didn't happen to orbit this weekend. But there's other people where everywhere you go, you're in the same vibrational orbit or something. It's just like, wow, there's Red again. Come over here, Red. There's my homeboy, Greg Bergs, again. But I don't ever get to see and get my paws on him in person, so of course I'm going to maximize it. You too, Cynthia. I see you fucking everywhere. I'm like, can't you go away for 5 minutes? But then there's other people where I see pictures of them this week, and I'm like, they went to camp? Do they even know that I was at camp too? Like, why?
That's weird. Yeah, that's some weird quantum physics. We can't go into that here and now. But I'm laughing so hard because the second day of Color Wars, and it was all rainy and cold, and I just went to my room, and I was having like a little private friend bestie moment with one of my friends, and I just thought everybody was doing that because that's what an introvert does when it's cold and rainy. You just kind of go and tuck in with some tea and a friend. And Color Wars was going on. I'm sorry I missed it.
I could learn a lot from the introverts. I could learn a lot. I see all caps here. Jonathan has fear of missing out. Thanks for the prayer, Cynthia. Oh my God, Cynthia, I
Yeah,
did the same thing.
try my
Can you can you,
prayer,
can
and
you
even afterward, like,
repeat that prayer for us really quick, just so people get it? Here's the prayer.
I'm always in the right place at the right time with the right people, doing the right thing. I mean, it's such a relief when you can really just tap into that and trust that. It's a huge relief. So please try it and use it even for like the Facebook group or
Yeah.
anything. Like, I trust that I'm always right where I need to be. And a lot of that starts with just your practices, your mental, physical, emotional, spiritual care that you do with whatever, whether that's sitting meditation or walking meditation. I wanted to really talk about journaling too. This is my written journal, my personal journal that
I got
use.
mine right here.
And even when I came home, I couldn't sit down and write. Even what I do is I do a 15-minute minimum writing, and I couldn't even do that. So if you're journaling and it's just like scattered thoughts, like quick little dashes or lists, I did the listing on the plane, just quick captures. Remember the capture the wow stuff is about just quickly capturing things. You don't have to like drill down until you feel like you are settled enough to sit and drill down a little more.
Yeah. I love that. Deborah Williams just shared, I saw my doctor today and he knew immediately I was wired up and he cautioned me to do self-care first. You have a good doctor, not take drugs first. Self-care first, ideas, projects, activities later.
That's perfect.
Beautiful.
That's perfect.
That's a keeper.
Yep. I was in the bubble bath yesterday with the massage follow-up. Felt great.
Yeah, when I was reacclimating to work life, as I may have shared with some people, I had a very, very intense few days of work, central work before I came to camp. Camp was what it was. It didn't feel like work, but work must have gotten done because I could feel it in my entire body. And then reintegrating into Centro, it's kind of like your prayer, whereas I could sit and lament and feel guilty or scared about my interactions with people when I see them, if they thought that I was out like having too much fun or flaking on something or not coming through. Or I could just trust that when we cross orbit again and we pick up where we left off, it's a good exchange. I don't get nervous anymore when the phone rings like I used to when I was sitting in kind of the wrong seat on the bus. And what's the first question out of all their mouth? Dude, how was camp? The photos looked ridiculous. Like it could be our CEO, our chief marketing officer, head of sales, whatever. The first question, they're not like, Chris, I'm freaking out about revenue and blah, blah, blah. They're like, how was camp? And then I'm like, let me tell you about camp, And 6 hours later, they're like, oh, God.
You're such a fire hose.
So what did we learn so far? Transitions are key. Honor your transitions. Honor your body. Honor who you're with and the reason behind it, and be comfortable with that. And don't expect to do far too much too soon. We're not going to be able to come back from an event like that and put all of it into practice right away. That's impossible. I mean, good luck, but I don't see it happening.
So even if like you're thinking, I love what Christine did. She immediately set herself up for these new practices, and that's great. Even if it's just one thing, like on Monday morning I was meditating and I looked down, the timer went off, and I said, today's the day, 2 minutes more. So I bumped it up to 20 minutes. That, it's simple, it's small, it's measurable. I can do that daily. There probably will be an impact, but it's not like get started writing those 2 books that you want to write. It's just gentle. Be gentle.
Well, can you talk about that a little bit? Because when we met a few years ago, you weren't a real avid meditator, right?
I was not sitting and meditating at all.
Can you talk about how the practice, and you're up to what, you're increasing to what, 20 minutes now?
I started, so I was in the Good Life Project immersion with you, which started in March, and
2012.
It wasn't until November 6th was when I started sitting, and it's because I was talking to another one of our Good Life Project people, Kelly Newsom, and she framed it as a stillness practice, and that worked for me. So often it's all about the frame that works for you. And so I started with 5 minutes in the morning, first thing, and then I bumped it up after several, and with no agenda. I wasn't trying to calm my mind or still my mind or be perfect. I just sit down and shut up was kind of how I see it, and open up. And then after several months, I bumped it up to 10 minutes and then 15. And then you just challenged us earlier this year in the spring to increase it 20%, which was 3 more minutes. So those incremental changes, and also with very low expectation or demand on what was going to happen within those minutes. If I'm lucky, I have maybe 1 minute of clear screen, clear sky. I'll just admit it. I'm not in the Zen zone.
It's very normal.
But what I find is the self-respect that I have generated and the self-trust that I have cultivated by showing up every single day is bigger than any benefit that I could imagine, because I know that I take my obligations and self-commitments to heart and honor them. So that's really, to me, the big thing. Like, don't commit to some big thing that you're going to flake out on because it's too much for you to take. Commit to small things and build that self-trust and self-respect so that you can have these little victories on a daily basis.
I love that. So what I took away from that is that it's kind of like the first victory that leads to other smaller victories throughout the day because you showed up for yourself. It creates space for you where all these, like, there's no shortage of massive projects looming and exploding and multiplying like gremlins all the time. However, it creates the discernment and the space to be able to choose wisely when your butt does hit your desk chair. I've just wanted to say, like, personally, I've noticed a big transformation for you just in the few years that I've known you. And I don't know, I wouldn't say that meditation is all of it, but I know that it's kind of a key part of your arsenal now that you speak really openly about. And I appreciate you sharing your experience with that.
Well, one of the big things that it's helped me do, Brad Feld wrote about this with his wife in the book Startup Life, that having any kind of practice in the morning that's gentle and slow, instead of immediately jumping to the coffee and the computer, helps just put the whole day into perspective. Like, you're not so urgent. It's not so important. No matter who you are, starting a day with calm and intention is so much kinder than starting with this kind of urgency and I've got to get to everything. That, to me, is one of the biggest impacts. And because I'm pretty dedicated to the sitting practice now, I expect more boons to roll in over time when I do finally clear my mind for longer than a minute at a time.
Yeah, you know, hold on a second. I gotta try to attempt to show this. I don't know. Let's see if this works at all. But over here,
your altar?
Yeah, that's where my altar is. But down here, as you can't even see it. But one of the things I've really needed for a long time is a wool blanket, because us yogis believe that the wool helps insulate your body from subtle currents or vibrations, so you could actually achieve even more peace. They're always trying to optimize how still you could get the body, so eventually you could transcend the body and head into samadhi or God consciousness. Heavy, cool stuff. So I've wanted a wool blanket forever, and, you know, they're a couple $100 for one that's worth anything. And out of nowhere, my wife, who I thought was annoyed with me yesterday because I've been kind of woo-woo since I got back, more so than normal, she brought up this beautiful wool blanket for me, and she said, I know you need to be getting your meds in right now. We call them our meds in our house. And it's just so beautiful that people recognize that that is absolutely the core foundational habit that I could cultivate that allows me to be me, whatever this is. So again, for the people that made it to meditation this weekend, I totally applaud you. It's truly a gift for me to open my eyes once in a while and just be in the room with you, let alone be the only person facing all of you, and seeing Cynthia like there right in the center of it, thinking that, you know, these are the things I dream about when I'm back here meditating by myself in Akron. And the fact that all of us on such a busy, crazy-ass, no sleep, intense weekend full of uncertainty of things we've never done before would make an effort to show up at 6 in the morning to sit in silence with some other people. And one of those things that sticks with me, like, probably the most out of the whole weekend, and I get chills when I think about it, is the resonance of our collective Om together. It just kind of reverberates up and down my spine and through my body. And whenever I feel hungry, angry, lonely, tired, scared, freaked out about work, whatever, I try to take myself back to that place. It's like an anchor point. So
it meant so much to me to see so many people showing up at 6 a.m. I was truly blown away.
Jonathan was really blown away. Jonathan's like, this is the biggest group you've ever done, right? And I said, yeah, like, I go lead these in, you know, corporate environments, and of course there's not going to be 150 that show up to do it in the same time, but the good lifers, good people.
You know what's good.
It is good. All right, Miss Cynthia Morris, I It's always a pleasure. I thank you for weighing in, dropping wisdom bombs on us. Don't forget to pick up Cynthia's ebook to help you on your way. Say it one more time because I could remember it.
The Graceful Return.
The Graceful Return. We're going to start our mind mapping. We're going to take care of ourselves and listen to our body. Always a pleasure, Cynthia. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chrissy. Love you.
I love you too. All right, I'm going to move on with my slides a little bit and we'll have, if we have some time here, we'll probably get Cynthia back up in a little bit to do a little bit more Q&A. I did prepare a few things for you guys while we have a little bit more time. Red Labonte is a big fan of Cynthia Morris. Can she repeat the name of the book by Brad? Oh yeah, it's The Startup Life by Brad Feld. Is that helpful, Deirdre? Greg Berg, you were talking about competing non-negotiables, right? You want to know about competing non-negotiables? All right, so let's start with the framework. If you guys know anything about the work that I do, and if you don't, I'll just hit you really quick, but this is my framework. It's called Full Life Integration, and I stack my non-negotiables in a way that creates kind of like a hyper-alignment towards my work. So my work, you guys got to witness all my work this past weekend, if you were there, it tends to benefit from the other non-negotiables that come before it. My art and music, my family, health and vitality, and my soul practice. It's probably best described by this photo. Whoever took this kick-ass photo, yes, I'm happy to share the slides, Red. It's a love. Of course I'm sharing the content. Gosh. Anyway, one of my, I forgot who took this photo, if you want to remind me, but this photo embodies everything that I ever wanted to be when I grew up. Who knew that I wanted to help run an adult summer camp, drink green juice, get paid for it, yell at people through a megaphone, sing songs, and just try to be my spiritual strange self. But when I see this, part of it scares me. And what scares me about it? Well, I'm used to working by myself. How do I leave this deep sense of connection? Look at Shelly Adele on the far left, rocking the devil horns like a boss. I freaking love it. Look at how seriously I'm taking the hands. And look at how, oh my gosh, you have to remind me her name, how she is clearly not into participating. No, I'm just kidding. I'm trying to call her out. So much love, so much love. And the point of integration really is the thick knot hung quote, which is, we are here to awaken from our illusion of separateness. So that could be the illusion of separateness with other people and our essential unity at a spiritual basis with all of humanity, or it could be with ourselves. And when I was disintegrated, when I was a total mess and none of those things were working together, I could assure you that I would never have the guts or gumption to strap on a guitar and a megaphone at the same time. So my friend Greg raised the question of how do you deal with competing non-negotiables? Let's go back to my non-negotiables really quick. Which ones on here are probably most in conflict at all times? I would say family and everything else. Harsh but true, harsh but true. And so how do I get my family, i.e. my Gail, in line with my other non-negotiables so she understands? And make no mistake, there would be no Chrissy Carter if there wasn't Gail. Gail is the absolute reason I can expand and keep adding non-negotiables and things and do my work, because she understands how this works for me and she understands my mission. So I'd say that the most important thing is if there's other people involved in those non-negotiables, you got to get them majorly on board with what you're trying to do. And so some of the other ones are soul practice tended to conflict with all these others as I was trying to ratchet up the amount of hours I meditate a week. And I had to make that the primary absolute non-negotiable because I'm not willing to compromise my inner all is wellness for any potentially temporary aspect of my life. And where that can get really kind of hairy and weird is that my health, God forbid, my family, my art, my work, all those things are finite. They have the potential to make it all the way through this lifetime with me or not. So I have to cultivate soul first and primary before all others. So that tended to open up the space to allow those hours to keep growing throughout the week, throughout the month. And now it works together pretty beautifully because all of it benefits from the soul practice. But it's a common thing. I mean, I don't run as much as I'd like to right now. I mean, it's fall weather outside in Ohio. I want to be on my bike every day. I want to be out running the trails. I have the same clock that everybody else does. There's only a certain number of hours on it. So I can't get all of my non-negotiables in every single day. However, there are plenty of days where I am working and I'm spending time with my family. I'm playing my guitar for you guys. I'm maximizing my vitality through juicing or something, and I'm hopping on my bike here and there. And of course, it's all after a lot of meditation. So I hope that helps. Yeah, so on this, we talked about aligning and time bending. This is, I put most of my time into alignment exercises, knowing that they will all tend to drive right action. So if I have a limited amount of time to figure shit out this week because I'm not motivated or I'm a little bit scattered, I better sure as heck be choosing right action whenever possible. And this was coming off a weekend where everything that I did at camp felt like right action. It was like, go fetal ball on the dance floor. Okay, that's right action. Grab more fajitas with my buddies and eat more guacamole. Yes, right action. Like, you could do no wrong in that type of environment. However, when you're back here kind of walking the gauntlet sometimes between other people's expectations, what they need from you, what you want from you, you have to be very, very, very concerned with discernment and right action. So again, I go back to, if the division is here, I got to continually optimize my space for the next thing, my video shoot or webinar shoot, whatever. I have to work on my alignment exercises and hopefully guide right action. Here's another way of looking at it. If we're looking at this for Csikszentmihalyi's flow states chart, I would look at camp as looking like this. It was a high challenge for me just in terms of stamina, and it took a lot of different crazy wild skills to pull it off. And with that, and naturally comes anxiety. There was times where I was totally fine and elated, and then somebody would come up to me and say, hey, Chris, what's happening next? And I'm like, there's a schedule? Oh my God. And I would start freaking out about, like, I don't know what's coming next. Like, now is coming next, I guess, because I was in like such a now kind of state. But how beautiful is it when our work truly falls in this category, when it's so challenging that it's stretching us and pulling us forward into expansion, and it requires the very height leading edge of all the skills we offer. That is freaking mega, and that's why I will be flying the GLP flag till I die. If you want a nice, compassionate little song, look up this artist, Josh Clayton Felt. Josh Clayton Felt actually passed away when he was about 32 years old. He was in this band called School of Fish. They were big on alternative rock radio about 20-something years ago. They had the song, For 3 Strange Days, I Couldn't Put a Smile on My Face. Do you remember that song, Three Strange Days? Anyway, Josh Clayton Felt has this song, and this pops in my head on a weekly basis, at least a few times when I'm really aware that I might be holding myself back. I mentioned in my time bending session too that Cynthia Morris gave me her copy of The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. I'd recommend, I don't want to push too many books down your throat because I don't think you need too many books right now when you're trying to chill. However, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, he's really obsessed with identifying upper limiting beliefs, meaning that when we have these elated states like I did this past weekend, my immediate rebound is when I get tired or hungry is to think like, who am I to do that every weekend? That wasn't me. You know, like that was just a perfect job opportunity or whatever. And then this little song pops into my head. You're waiting to be what you already are. You're the only one left in your way. Waiting to be what you've been from the start. And you don't have to wait another day. Important. It's compassion. It's being open to the fact that maybe there is a law of accumulation that's been growing and building since our birth or before our birth in some cases, where we are the sum total of everything that's happened up to this point, and we've been preparing for this next thing for our entire lives. Powerful stuff, I'm telling you. So that leads me to my freak out, which is, like everybody, these things overwhelm me. And again, who am I to do these things? Who am I to live my damn dream? You know, who am I to have the audacity to wear pajamas to morning announcements, for example, or whatever it may be? By the way, I had some childhood trauma pop up during the point where I hopped on stage in front of 250 guests in front of my pajamas. It took me back to summer band camp in like 1993 when we had this toga day, and I was the field commander up on this platform in front of like 280 marching band colleagues. And this little girl down in the front who was playing the marimbas or something, she's like, Chris. She was trying to get my attention. I was like, what? And finally she said, look down. And I looked down, and I literally, my junk was hanging out of my toga in front of 280 of my fellow students and band members. So all that came back to me at camp. Fun times. So I knew you were still, I knew you weren't muted, Cynthia Morris. I knew it.
Did you? I'm not muted. I'm sorry.
No, you're not muted.
I'm just like, oh, did that just happen? Oh no.
It's part of my mission is to weird everybody out, including myself. So there you have it.
I'm blushing so much. I'm putting me on mute.
Yeah, that just happened. More reasons for Chrissy to meditate on the regular. I told that to Jonathan. Okay, you're still unmuted. You're still unmuted, Cynthia. I just hear you laughing your ass off. Hold on, you guys. I got to take this. Cynthia, mute your damn phone. Thank you. You're still not muted. Oh, my God. This is so funny. I'm dying right now. Hold on here, Cynthia Morris. Let me show you the love that you deserve. Oh, it's so funny. All right. Mute. I did it. I told that story to Jonathan, and he said, you look a little, he was getting ready to speak, and he said, you look a little shaken. And I said, yeah, and I was concerned about the fly, or the lack of a fly on my pajama pants. And I told him that story, and he was dying laughing right before he had to get up to speak. It was pretty fun. So meditation, if you guys haven't bought into it yet, it's absolutely the answer for so many of our issues. It is the easiest thing to skip out on or to flake out on each morning because it's the quietest little voice. However, it reminds you that when your little ego is trying to tell you this BS, like, who am I to do this? What? That wasn't me. I'm this, or whatever, that you could always go deeper on the plane of the soul. And that's why meditation is the key. However cool you think you are way cooler than you realize. And the Buddhists and the monks and nuns of Self-Realization Fellowship that teach me, all these yogis, they are really focused on this as the mission of their lifetime, which is just to continually deepen perception, create space, create, like less stress, all those things, create deeper perception so you could truly understand the godlike power that you are capable of. So, so cool. If you haven't yet, you don't need to, but I want to remind you, it's open source, it's free to whatever degree it serves you. thisepiclife.com/meditation has some good resources. If you already have your practice, please don't worry about it. This is the video series that my friend Laura Neff, who's in the immersion program this year for GLP, she really convinced me and inspired me to make this available to the masses and make it open source because I truly believe that the people I want to be working with all are conscious on some level, and they're all concerned with their kind of spiritual well-being. So think about this, epiclife.com/meditation. Oh, I love this. Today I tweeted out, today promises to be action-packed. Have you claimed at least a few minutes of meditation to find true north? I actually did need 75 minutes of meditation today because I was last night. And Laura said yes, and she spent her final 6 minutes in meditation with a coaching client this AM, and she radiated afterwards. I love that. So let's kind of summarize a little bit of our re-entry process. You need some practices and rituals as scaffolding. Show yourself the love, that's compassion and self-care. Remind yourself, if it helps you, remind yourself that your home is actually why you do these things, why you go out and have these amazing epic adventures with new friends, so you can bring it back to your beautiful little life. If you need to make tweaks, obviously make tweaks. Don't do them the first week. I don't like reading the people like, quit their jobs the first day back or something like that. I mean, if you have to, that's cool, but like just, give it some time, get comfortable back in your environment. Allow yourself, oh my God, I was literally talking directly to myself when I wrote this bullet. Allow yourself to be a grumpy prick once in a while. Thanks, Chrissy, I will. Grumpy. I'm just kidding, I'm not that grumpy. Knowledge acquisition is always less than knowledge application. So when in doubt, sit your ass down and practice meditation. Go into Happy Baby and practice some yoga. But application of knowledge is so key. Knowledge acquisition, less than application. Constantly reminding myself. I always see this growing stack of books. People send me these books. I'll read a book from Cynthia Morris because if it helped her, shit, I respect her. I got to read it. But I have this stack of amazing books that people want me to read, and I just don't get to them because I'm too busy practicing what I preach. Figure out ways to communicate what has changed. with other people. Let them know if you're going through shifts. Let them know that you're not the same person that got on the plane a week ago or something, and try to help them understand why and what it was. I think they'll appreciate that. It'll inspire them. Oh, these two great women in my life. Oh, it was my son's birthday. I wanted to share, in closing here, I wanted to share something really funny. It was my son's birthday on September 1st. He turned 3, Spider Boy. And my wife bought this amazingly tacky dress that we all love because she looks like Mrs. Roper in it. She bought this at TJ Maxx for $20, and I was like, is this a win or a fail? And like everybody on Facebook thought it was a win. But she brought me this card. And this is a week before camp. And I was turning 39 years old. And I was having a little bit of issues like, wow, am I further along than I thought I would be? Am I not further along than I thought I'd be? Am I getting too old for this shit? Like, what's going on? And my wife bought me this card that was so special. It said, once upon a time, a very special person was born who was destined to change the world. So I opened inside. And she said, calm down. It's not you. It's Jesus. I was like, Rafflecopter, LMFAO. Not that I would ever think she would have been talking about me, but that's my wife's sense of humor. She kind of like, if you see me getting mighty, if you see me getting high, knock me down. But here's what she wrote, and this ties into time bending. It ties into self-compassion and other things. It says, I think he'd want you to have a happy birthday, though. She said, Casey, I love you. You're doing amazing things and changing our world. She could really give a crap. I mean, God bless her. I love her to death. But it's not in her metrics how many lives I affect outside the home. She loves what I do. She's inspired by what I do. It helps inspire her. But it's really about changing their world all the time. And she says, it's wonderful. This year, as you head towards 40, slow down some and enjoy it. It's pretty wonderful. So that's her reminding me that all the magic that I'm working my ass off for all over the world, it's really happening right inside that house in there. And it says, happy birthday, boy. I love you. Just a little something. I got to get this non-time piece. I want to get the Flavor Flav clock that says now. If anybody figures out which one's the best one to buy, share it in places where I will see it because I think we all need these. This is Mariana's wrist. I took this picture of her. She was kind of running by. Thank you, Cynthia Morris. This is you, this happy little you. Okay, I'll let you unmute yourself right now so we can wish our people well. Are you guys still with us? I know we covered a lot today.
What a total honor to be here with everybody again. It was such a great time, and always it's obviously a huge part of the people who put it on, Stephanie and Jonathan. But it doesn't work if people don't show up open and ready to receive. And the willingness and openness and courage that I saw in every camper really blew me away. And the talent show was just a great little capsule of that.
Yes.
All of it. It was so big for me. So much happened. I hope that everybody feels good and savors the beauty and the connection and trust that every right thing that is meant to happen out of that weekend is absolutely on its way to happening.
Oh, thanks so much. And Greg Berg, thanks for taking this phenomenal photo. Gregory Berg has 400 more pics. Make sure you check out and support Mr. Gregory Berg's phenomenal podcast, Radio Enzo. It's awesome. Every Monday night he has a live. Some of my favorite interviews of all time have been on that show. All right, thanks so much, Cynthia.
Thank you.
In kind of closing here, I just want to show you guys a little recent case study in terms of alignment. Pressed juice is not available in Akron, Ohio. And on my 39th birthday, I was pulling out of my driveway, and the FedEx driver pulls up, and he gets out with this box, and what's inside the box? My coworkers from Centro sent me this beautiful care package, FedExed from Los Angeles, of phenomenal pressed juicery juices. And I powered those down all weekend long, and my wife is like, this is going to end badly. You're drinking them way too quickly, which, of course, it did, but that's as is my way. And I enjoyed these so thoroughly, I went to camp thinking, gosh, there's not going to be any juice there, and I'm going to need fuel to fuel my inferno all weekend long. But how's it going to happen? I couldn't make it to the juicing workshops. I knew I couldn't do it. And then I met phenomenal Lisa, holy superhero jump roper. Did you guys meet Lisa? I carried in her heavy-ass bag. I'm like, do you have like 70 bowling balls with you for camp? And it turns out she had a ton of juice. And she's talking to me now about helping be an ambassador nationwide for her Beaming brand. in terms of just helping get the word out about her juices and stuff, and talk about an alignment with a brand. So it's like I can work for Centro for now. I could work with Good Life Project. I could do my work in the world. I can do work gladly on behalf of Beaming, and because it's in such tight alignment, I don't have to worry about there not being enough of me to go around, because I believe in it so fully. And I wanted to leave you with that, just only because it's not because it's about me for any sense, but it just shows you that you do meet those people that you're supposed to meet. You are with the people you're supposed to be with. And if you're truly locked into your own mission and purpose and energy level and what makes you come alive, those beautiful little saints tend to show up. Was this helpful? I really hope it was, everybody. I'm super inspired. I love the turnout. The turnout today has been blowing me away. Oh my God. Sorry I didn't get to more questions yet. Yeah, Christine, much love and namaste, sister. You are absolutely validated. You're probably more sane than the rest of us. Yeah, Sam Sutherland, and it's only like 6 in the morning, so get after it, girl. Go live that adventure. All right, you jet to the gym, Aunt Smoliv. Barbara, you want to see different pages of notes in the journal from different workshops, generally a time lever back to camp. Highly recommend. Oh, did people see Stacy's amazing pages of notes? Yeah, check out on the Facebook wall Stacy's amazing pages of notes from her journal from the different workshops. And with that, I'm going to see how many slides I did not get to. If you want to join us each morning as we meditate together virtually, we can kind of keep tabs on each other. Join the Pause meditation group on Insight Timer app. Download the Insight Timer app, join the Pause meditation group. I'm eventually going to be converting this over towards the Good Life Project brand, but why not be an early adopter? I say. And that's it for me. We did it. We got through another webinar. I want to thank you guys so much for being here. It tickles me. Thanks for being so engaged. Thanks for all the great questions. All caps. Woo! Still working on this. Just wrote it like an hour ago. I just need to put the omen home. I just can't ignore these omens, no. Every day I want to wake up beaming. Can't tell when I'm dreaming anymore. Feels like everything I've been waiting for. Thanks, y'all. All right, Deirdre. Much love. Namaste, sister. Bill Payne, bringing the pain on the webinar. Bringing the pain with his monkey brain in the meditations. Love, love, love you too, Shelly Adele. Thanks. Thanks for keeping me from going dark side. Who knows how it would have turned out? What if this ended like Mr. Rogers, and I was like, well, my work is done here. It's time to get back to my desk like 3 feet away. I'll see you guys later. I'm going downstairs. Carrie's giving a shout out to all of her new fellow GL peers. Much love. If I haven't expressed it explicitly to each of you, I am totally blown away and blessed and honored that you are in our tribe. However different forms that takes, through our different programs, through being fans and followers of Jonathan's work or my work or Cynthia Morris's work. I told Jada Selner last week that I'm so proud when she rocks it out and hits it out of the park at events like WDS and these things, because I think in some way she's part of our tribe. And when one of us wins, we all win. So thanks for being so engaged. Thanks for being in our tribe. And thanks for taking that big-ass chance and gamble on doing something that hasn't really been done before, but turned out pretty. Cheryl Rickman from the UK. Awesome to see you here. Oh, my God. Yeah. Right on. I hope re-entry is easy for y'all. I wish I could have gotten some more questions. I know we're out of time. We had a lot to cover today, but we want to figure out our best ways to support you guys. Much love. I'm signing off. Thank you. Thank you all. It's so hard to say goodbye. What? Access was denied to this epic life meditation. Let's just bring it up. Oh, by the way, guys, let me show you something creepy here. Hold on a second. thisepiclife.com/meditation. Let me show you something creepy here. Are we in the trust tree? All right, so this really weird thing showed up on my page because this is a leads page. I just threw this up here to make it really easy. Wealthification has nothing to do with me or my site. It was some sort of upgrade they did at leads pages. This weird ass stuff showed up in there, but I'm not going to stress about it because life is good. So just read this, hit the button if you're interested in the videos, and you'll be all set. But yeah, this is the site, Barbara, thisepiclife.com/meditation. Sound good? Does it sound good? Webinar rocking. No, Cheryl, you hang up. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, wherever you may be. And remember, if you do nothing else, if you don't listen to one thing that we tell you, just remember this. Be who you are, wherever you are.